Hi there, and welcome to the Holidays to Europe Travel Show, Episode 7. Today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Diane Butler, who is Tourism Ireland's Director for Australia. Welcome, Diane.
Hi, Caroline. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to hearing all about Ireland. Now, it's a relatively small country when you compare it in size to Australia, but every corner of the country seems to offer a different landscape. So what are some of the natural highlights that a visitor to Ireland should aim to see?
Yeah, there are a lot. It's a real treasure trove for a little island, and that's why we call it the Emerald Isle, I suppose. But we've got a couple of UNESCO heritage sites, like the Giant's Causeway in the north, that's in Northern Ireland on the Causeway Coast. And that really is a unique landscape in the world. It's full of hexagonal columns. It's an amazing place to go and see. We've also got the UNESCO heritage site of Newgrange, which is actually older than Stonehenge. That's a megalithic site, and that's about an hour from Dublin. That's usually very popular, and especially at the summer and the winter solstice. And then the other natural highlights around the place, obviously people would see, you recognise the Cliffs of Moher. That's been used in quite a few films, including Harry Potter, in County Clare, where literally the wild Atlantic way, the ocean crashes onto a few hundred metres of cliffs in County Clare. And then also on the west coast, you've also got the Connemara National Park, which is really probably one of my favourite areas. Very stunning, beautiful areas, mountains, colourful landscapes, bogs, through to beautiful coastlines of, small villages and glacier-formed harbour ways. So you've got literally mountains going into the sea, which is quite stunning. A little bit further down, we've got the Burren, which is also a unique landscape to Northern Ireland. It's a whole area of unique limestone landscape with unique flora, some great villages, and it's quite close. If you're going to Galway and then you're going to go and do the Cliffs of Moher, that's a really good little detour, and it's quite close to a town called Doolin, which is known for its traditional music. And I just mentioned the wild Atlantic. The buzz is that it's 2,500 kilometres of coastline, which is fully signposted now. And it really takes you from Mallinhead in County Donegal in the north, right down the west coast of Ireland to south. And it takes you off the beaten track through some stunning landscapes and coastlines. And there are just over 150 signature points, which we've noted, the sort of hidden gems along the way that might be fantastic restaurants, views across the coastline, and some other sort of ancient sites and so on. So it's really very popular. We launched it a year ago and it's become very popular in this market.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. And with all those other different sites well worth visiting, they're so different. So there's obviously heaps to see.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I guess that is the problem for some, because you want to see everything, and sometimes it's better to see less is more.
Yeah, exactly. So that was what I was going to ask you next.
Yeah.
Because people have this perception that Ireland is small, they probably don't allow enough time to see it properly. What's the ideal minimum time to spend in Ireland?
Well, the average stay in Ireland for most Australians is actually 12 days. So you can see there obviously people are staying longer and there are shorter, but 12 days seems to be the average. And you can probably see the whole island in that time, but you would be travelling every day. And I would recommend that you try and do a little less, and you really then appreciate the richness of the place and you sort of get under the skin of it.
Yeah.
If you are spending less time, because we know that people do, usually if they're going to Europe, Ireland is included as an add-on. Obviously, we've got enough to make it a destination in itself, but it's usually that people will go hop across from continental Europe to Ireland, or they'll go to the UK to Ireland, or they'll go Ireland first, take a cruise, or vice versa. So we are usually part of a larger European holiday. If you are sort of pushed for time, then 3 or 4 days would get you to base yourself in Dublin or Belfast, and then I would recommend you spend a couple of days in the cities, and then you take a day tour out. So from Dublin, you could take a day tour down to Wicklow, to Glendalough, which is absolutely stunning, and Kilkenny, which is a great little town. And you get a feel for the rest of Ireland away from sort of cosmopolitan cities. And then Belfast is a really interesting city because we've obviously got the Titanic. Belfast is very popular. And that is a stunning building which takes you through the whole shipbuilding of the Titanic and the sister ships in Belfast. And there's also the whole Belfast city in itself has really taken on a resurgence in the last few years. And it is quite a good place if people are into music and food and so on. And obviously the Causeway Coast is the popular with the Giant's Causeway and other scenery along the way, but also that's being used by the HBO series The Game of Thrones. So a lot of the scenes are actually filmed in that area, and also all the studio scenes are actually filmed in the Belfast Titanic Quarter. So that's of great interest to many Aussies who are bronies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you touched there on music and food, and the Irish, that's one thing that they're sort of well known for, their hospitality and love of a good time. What are some of the unique characteristics, do you think, of the Irish that make Ireland such a must-visit destination?
I think really overall that it's authentic. You meet people and they really are genuinely interested in you, where you're from, what you're doing. The whole island of Ireland, tourism is really important to them, but it's not overly commercial. And I think that people do genuinely, they genuinely are interested because a lot of Irish are overseas, so they usually have some connection, obviously a strong connection with Australians. So when you meet someone and you say you're from Australia, they say, oh, yeah, I've got friends or relatives, or I was over there last year. And there's a definite commonality and a definite link, a very strong link in the humour and the characteristics. And you meet some great characters. If you want to meet people, it's very easy. You can, as a single person travelling around, it's actually a great place because you just go into a pub with some traditional music and you end up talking to people. Very easy. But if you want the peace and quiet and you don't really want a huge amount of conversation, that's also there for you. So everyone I speak to is really surprised at the friendliness and the real depth of the place and the traditions and the culture and the personalities. And then if you're going into a restaurant, the standard of the cuisine, Ireland has some great restaurants and even the local pubs are serving up gourmet food, which is really affordable. So it's really not just one thing that makes Ireland so pleasing to most people. And I don't really hear many people coming back and complaining at all, actually.
Sure.
I mean, it's just, it's the richness of the place, the landscapes. It's not just one thing, it's the landscapes, the ancient buildings and the cosmopolitan atmosphere of Dublin or Belfast and some of the other towns. And then, the fact that it's just easy. It's easy to get around. It's short distances between towns and villages. So you can really mix up. You can base yourself in one place and then go out to a few places for a couple of days, or you can move around as you want. And I know a lot of Australians do like to sort of move, but I think there is a tendency now to sort of do less every night, but stay in one place 2 or 3 nights and then go and do some sightseeing from there.
Sure. Excellent. Now, I know a few years ago, if you were wanting to fly to Ireland, particularly to Dublin, you'd have to go through London, which can be a bit of a nuisance with, change over times and so forth.
It is getting better, yeah.
Yeah, but in the last few years, there seems to be a lot more airlines that are flying directly from either Asia or the Middle East to Dublin, which makes it much better for Aussies. Do you think that's had a positive impact on the number of Australians that have included Ireland in their holidays?
Oh, yeah, I think access is definitely key. And also, obviously, with the new services, then the highlighting Dublin or Belfast as a destination and Ireland as a destination is always a good thing. It's obviously helped Tourism Ireland get numbers up from this region. So you've got direct flights via Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Emirates or Etihad. And then via Asia, most of them would go via continental Europe and then you connect through to Dublin. But a lot of the airlines are giving you through fares. And that actually gives you a lot of choice. So you can actually combine Dublin with Paris or Belfast with Amsterdam. And the good thing lately is the availability of open jaw tickets, which means you can go into one city. You might do a river cruise or you might do an ocean cruise, and then you come out of another city. So you could go into, say, Amsterdam or Frankfurt, do your river cruise or whatever, then fly across to Ireland. And there are some really good low-cost carriers, and there's a lot of choice available. Plus BA and Aer Lingus and all the others, KLM, they all service Ireland really well. So you've got a lot of choice. So, traditionally a lot of people might have gone to the UK, to London, but now you can go into Manchester or you can go into Edinburgh and you can connect across to Ireland. And the great thing about Dublin, because the government understand that tourism is so important, they actually took away any airport taxes. So it's actually cheaper. People will find that Dublin is actually one of the cheapest destinations in Europe to fly into and out of. So it's particularly out of because departure taxes in other cities are quite high. So if you are thinking about travel in Europe, then check with your travel agent or check with some of the fares available with the open jaws and go into one but come out of Dublin or vice versa, and you'll find that your airfares are much cheaper.
Well, that's great. Now, I believe 2015 is going to be pretty big in Ireland with events and celebrations that you've got going on. Can you tell us about some of the exciting things that are happening this year?
Yeah, well, we've got the Year of Irish Design. So that's a whole year of celebrating Ireland's design through various things. So that obviously connects with a lot of things away from the tourism spectrum itself. Also, we're celebrating some literary figures. We've got Yeats 150, so that is celebration of his 150th birthday, so celebration of his birth. So that's happening in June. So anyone interested in sort of the literary figures, if you're looking at June, then you could also enjoy the phenomenon that is Bloomsday, which is Joyce. Anyone who's tried to get through Ulysses should really go to Dublin on that day because it's quite an interesting time to be there. And obviously we've got a number of festival and events throughout the year. The Flá Ceol, which is traditional music. It's the biggest sort of Eisteddfod, I suppose, really, of traditional music, which is in Sligo this year. We've got the International Cork Jazz Festival. We've got various food festivals, a whole heap of festivals that you can find on our website, which is www.ireland.com, or you can give us a call and we can send you a list of them.
Okay. Well, there's certainly something there to please everyone, really. Now,
there are. I mean, there's also lots of sporting events. So, we've got triathlons, we've got mountain biking, we've got road races, cycling, motorcycling events, and also walking events and so on. So there's a lot of scope for people who love the outdoors, people who love sport. And obviously there's a lot of people going across to the Rugby World Cup in the UK, Wales and England this year. And a lot of people will be hopping across to Ireland to enjoy the after party, the pre-party, or the during party. I spoke to someone the other day who said that they're going to the UK for the first round and then they're going to Ireland because they think that that's the best seat in the house for the finals because of all the atmosphere that will be in, say, Dublin or any of the other cities.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, what are your top 5 things that you would encourage someone visiting Ireland for the first time to see and do?
I would say I would start off in Dublin, have a day or two in Dublin, then escape out of the city and really go towards the west coast, look at the Dingle Peninsula, County Clare within the Cliffs of Moher. I'd then go up into the Connemara and Galway area, up to Donegal, and then along the Causeway Coast in Northern Ireland to Belfast. And I'd definitely see Belfast because it's a great city. So those, in a nutshell, that's what I'd be doing, recommending. But again, don't cram too much in. Take time to have lunch. Take time to go to a restaurant and then go to the pub, or take time to stop off and see some handicrafts because they really are authentic handicrafts, and you'll see people making jewellery and Aran sweaters, and not that we need too many of those in some parts of Australia, but, they're affordable and unique. There's some unique shopping in Ireland and also a lot of tax-free shops, and you can get a tax-free shopping card as well, which means that some of these goods are much cheaper than normally.
And I guess by doing those things too, like going and seeing the handicrafts being made, that's the real Ireland that you're seeing, isn't it?
Yeah, it
like
is.
You said
and
before, getting under the skin and actually really seeing what goes on.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that it's very hard to describe because we don't have a lot of the iconic buildings of, say, in continental Europe. We don't have recognisable iconic buildings like, I guess, the Eiffel Tower, but we've got some amazing landscapes. And along the way, you'll meet some great characters. And these people are exceptionally friendly, and it's almost like a home away from home, but that sounds like it's a bit boring, but it's a discovery that you really make it what you want. You can meet a whole heap of people, or you can just do things. You can reconnect with your partner, your family, and it's just a great time. I took my husband there a couple of years ago. He'd never been to Ireland, and he just lapped it up. He told me before he went that he doesn't drink Guinness, he doesn't like it. And I said, you just wait till you get to Dublin and you'll have a Guinness and you'll love it. But it goes beyond the Guinness,
Yes,
it's
sure.
beautiful food, it's just the whole atmosphere. And when you go to stay in a B&B, you can stay in a B&B one day and you can stay in a castle the next. And coming soon, we've got even lighthouses you can stay in. So, there's a whole cross-section of accommodation, farms, coastal villages and so on that you can stay in that really, it's really what you like. You can make your holiday what you want.
Yeah, really something for everyone.
Yeah, it is a great little place.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. If our listeners would like some more information on Ireland, how can they find it?
Well, if they've got internet, it's www.ireland.com. We also have a Facebook site, which is obviously facebook.com, and then it's /Discover Ireland Oz, OZ. And if you want to call us, it's 02 9964 6900.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again, Diane. It's been wonderful speaking to you
Karen.
today.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Bye.